Welcome to Overtime on Inferno, your weekly roundup of all the big stories in CSGO in less time than it takes for the Astralis era to end. A quick reminder to like, favorite, review us, whatever you got to do on your podcast platform to help us, because it really does help us. I'm Logan. This is Aizyesque. Let's get into the buy round. What do you think we're talking about today?
So, I don't know. There's kind of like no big news this week, right? Like, it's just a few smaller stories. Like Extra Salt lost grand final to Big. dev1ce went to an IP. I don't know. It could be either of those.
That Voivoda team got signed to an actual org.
Yeah, I mean, there's all sorts. Dreamhack Masters talent lineup was announced. Scrawny's, he's interviewing to the casting. That's interesting.
Yeah. It's a very, very, just normal week.
Yeah, I mean, we all saw dev1ce to an IP coming, right? We'd been saying for weeks, dev1ce.
Well, I mean, you say that jokingly, but we actually know people who saw the dev1ce to NIP coming at least an hour before.
Yeah, but like an hour before. That's just kind of
an hour before.
I kind of knew something was up. I'd heard, I'd basically heard something that dev1ce was originally, going to do something, and then it was like, actually, maybe not dev1ce. Can we do somebody else? Yeah. And I was like, that's a little bit weird, but maybe he's just feeling unsociable. You never know. And then it's like a day later, it was like, we're signed for it. I think I woke up and I was like, okay, nothing seems to be happening. And then somebody quote tweeted like something about NIP to dev1ce, and I was like, that's bait. That gif, it's just like, that's bait. It's like, yep, not falling for that. Come on, Don. Come on, Don. Change your name. I was like, hang on, this is verified. Let me click on this. This is the real NIP account. It does say they've signed dev1ce. I've got to watch this video because this like, I checked the date. It wasn't April Fool's. So I was like, this has got to be a joke. Like, there's got to be something going on here.
It's got to be a joke.
Yeah, like I just had no idea that was even possible.
Imagine what it was like for North American to wake up, because I woke up 5 hours after this happened, right? Like, it went out at like 9 a.m. For you guys, I woke up at like 9 a.m. and had just like the most Discord notifications I've ever had from TLDR. Then I had a trillion tweets of people that I have tweet notifications turned on. And then the more tweets of just like, hey, a bunch of other people liked this / retweeted this. So this thing.
Yeah, the Twitter just was like on fire for an hour or two. It was like nobody could quite believe it. And then sort of dust settled and everyone went, like, wait, did this really happen? I mean, my first response was like, does this mean Nork is not AWPing now? And then somebody was like, oh yeah, they cut Nork. And I just sort of laughed. What? Doesn't make any... Like, that's how you know that this move was not at all planned. Like, obviously, they came out and said, 2 days ago, dev1ce was like, yeah, I want to go to an IP. And they were like, okay, so they made it happen. But you can tell that's true because you wouldn't plan to cut Nork because he was their best player. If you were looking to upgrade this roster, you wouldn't be going, Nork's the one we need to upgrade. I still think Nork's really good. I liked him before he signed for NIP. I liked him on NIP. I think he's really good. I don't know where he goes from here, though. I think his English is pretty good. He's been streaming in English the last few days. I don't know if you caught any of his streams, but he streamed like
I did.
Yeah, he streamed like an hour after it came out.
He streamed the CSGO like aim map thing that ESL put out, and you turn in the map and you just see the picture of a Liege, and then you see the picture of dev1ce.
Yeah, and he just kept shooting it from time to time. Made me laugh. He was in good spirits, to be fair.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it didn't seem like he was anything bad. Like, he didn't have any bad blood. I think I sent the Maui Snake Twitter thing where he was like, imagine being Knock in this situation. Hey, we're gonna kick you. What's for who? dev1ce. Oh, okay. Fair play. Understandable.
And then Nork was just like, yeah, that's pretty much how it went.
I mean, if you're getting replaced by one of the best players in the world, especially dev1ce, right? There's no comeback to that. There's nothing of like, but like, I'm like a new up and cut. No, it's dev1ce.
I don't know. I'd want my AWPer to be like, nah, fuck off. I'm AWPing. He can rifle, but he's not taking my AWP. That's what I want. I want my AWP to be like, no, I'm as good. I could be dev1ce. That's what I want him to say. I want him to go, no, you know what? He can rifle. Oh, Mike's falling over. He can rifle. I'm staying on my AWP. Or I mean, you know, this is my role. But you know, Nork's a nicer person than I am, so he just accepts it.
I think that's good for everyone involved.
Probably.
All right, let's get down to brass tacks for a minute. Let's talk about we got 4 angles I want to talk about this from. So the first angle is the Astralis side. So Astralis just got like $1 million,
and they're gonna
just out of thin air. So the question is, do they keep this together for the next 6 months? Because they've got contracts until the end of the year, I believe, or September or something like that. It's further down the line, but they've got contracts till the end of the year. And then they're free agents. Do individual players on the team try and get buyouts? So, like, does Dupree go, well, dev1ce just had $1 million buyout and just got signed to NIP. Do I maybe try and go to a team that needs a star rifler or something like that? There's a lot of stuff moving in there.
I think they'll keep the rest of the team together till the end of the year, till they're out of contracts. I don't know what Astralis are going to do after that. I absolutely no idea what the organization is going to do after that. I don't even know if they'll stay in CS. I think the players might split up and create their own. Maybe these 4 or 2 or 3 of them stay together. I don't think dev1ce-ive will stay on this roster because
I don't think so.
It doesn't
either.
Seem like they're. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe dev1ce-ive clicks in this roster and they become really good again. I'd love that. I love dev1ce-ive. I think he's great, but it doesn't seem like he'll necessarily. It seems like he's had some sort of issue meshing with glaive already. Yeah. So I would be a little bit surprised. I mean, there's rumors that they're going to sign attack back, which doesn't surprise me. He's a free agent, right? Or so not on a team at least.
I believe he is a free agent. I'm pretty sure Cloud9 released everyone from their contracts.
Yeah, which is strange, but. Yeah, so
they just wanted to get out.
Yeah, I guess that's true. So, I mean, he's probably available. You can get him and carry on with the 6-man roster if you really don't want dev1ce-ive to play. But I mean, you don't. There's no better chance now than to try dev1ce-ive.
Yeah,
I guess. I mean, it's a little bit of pressure replacing dev1ce, but in some ways, you're not expected to be as good as dev1ce. It's a little bit, it's like. Go on, kid. Do what you can.
So, do I assume they don't put any of the money they just got from dev1ce's buyout into this team? I assume that this is basically like, this is going to be the end. We're not going to infuse any more money into this unless they go, yeah, we'll re-sign contracts for a couple of years if you bring in this player, right? If you bring in this offer or something like that.
It seems like there's problems behind the scenes from everything we hear. Like, there's been rumors, there's been like mumblings of it for a while, but I think dev1ce leaving is like the first piece of definitive evidence we have that there's something wrong with that team. I think, at least. I mean, he's obviously done the whole, I just wanted to live in Sweden thing. He didn't just want to live in Sweden 2 years ago. It's got to be more than that. He seems to be making noises that it wasn't all hunky-dory at Astralis.
All fun and games. Yeah. All right, let's switch gears for a second. Let's talk about NIP. So we have said for the last while, we've been big proponents of the theory that when we are excited about NIP, we shouldn't be excited about NIP because they're going to disappoint us. But when we're not excited about NIP and we feel like they're going to disappoint us, they become the best team in the world, right? We've been big proponents of this theory. So here's the question. They have just added perhaps the most consistent Counter-Strike player of the last 5 years, right? So he was top 5 in the last 6 HLTVs, top 3 in the last 3 of them, right? He has been labeled Mr. Consistent. He's always there. He's always getting a lot of kills. He's always doing right playing. He's just consistent. Do we think that adding the most consistent player of the world to the most inconsistent team in the world is going to make them consistent?
No. If there's any organization that can make dev1ce look inconsistent, it's going to be NIP. I don't know how they're going to do it, but it's a given at this point.
It's insane that you can replace the whole team. Like theoretically, you could replace the entire team, and that team will still be inconsistent. There's no.
There's also,
It's just.
I also think that dev1ce, it's obviously really good. I'm not going to say he's not. I might have done in the past, but I'm not going to say he's not really good. But the way he plays isn't as explosive as many other brilliant players. And he is somebody who does maybe a little bit more rely on his team to set him up. And the way he plays is a bit more
Systematic.
Yeah,
If that
it
makes
is.
sense.
So
He plays very much in a system.
yeah, he's a cog he was a cog in the Astralis machine. He was the best cog. He was the fastest spinning one, but he was a cog in the Astralis machine. NIP are not a machine. They are
No.
5 robots that are like programmed differently, built differently, you might say. They sort of mesh together, like, but they're not. I don't know, man. They're not like well oiled in the same way Astralis are. They make more mistakes. They don't have Dupree to just like open up the site and then let dev1ce close it down. They have Rez, who's a good player, but he's not Dupree. They have, ZTR, who's not Zitnix. They've got Hampus, who's not Glaive. Like, it's a good team, don't get me wrong. But I'm less excited about this team now that I know Nork is out. If it was Nork and dev1ce, I'd be like, I'm kind of excited about this. If it was either of them rifling, I'd be like, I'm kind of excited about this. But I don't think NIP will be that amazing.
I'm kind of on the same page with you. Because as you said, Nock was their best player. Recently, at least, right? And while dev1ce is, I'd say, a better player than Nock, it doesn't fix the other problems that this team has.
Which is
right?
NIP.
It's not like... Which is being NIP, but it's not like picking up dev1ce magically fixes everything. It's not like you become a totally different team because of dev1ce. He'll bring in a different style of opping. Sure, he'll bring in ideas that he's gotten from Glaive and etc. from playing on Astralis for the last 6 years, right? Like he'll bring in all the stuff, but it's not going to be this huge monumental change. Like, yes, this is the biggest buyout in esports history as far as we're aware.
In Counter-Strike
history. In Counter-Strike history. This is the biggest buyout as far as we're aware. Like, it's huge.
I think Stewie's might actually have been bigger to MIBR. It was close. It was a lot of money.
It's one of the biggest buyouts, and it's not the consequential in the slightest, if that makes sense.
It might be. Like, I could be. I've completely read this wrong. And dev1ce is much better than I think, and he'll actually, be the piece that like turns NIP from an inconsistent, an inconsistent but decent team to a consistently great one. But I would be surprised.
Yeah. Let's talk about the NIP lineup for a second. So now it's Rez, Plopsky, Hampus, dev1ce, and ZTR? The reason I'm very questioning on the ZTR, he's never been put on the official team page because he's just continued to be a stand-in from the Young Ninja team.
Yep.
So he's still not officially on the team. So I wonder, does this, him still being a stand-in, even after the dev1ce pickup, does this mean, either does this mean that they're still not sure what they want to do with that slot, and it might go to ZTR, it might go to somebody else, or does it mean something closer to the, like, this is definitely a placeholder, and we're going to pick up somebody else, wait and see, because it's going to happen.
So the CEO, I believe it is, has been hinting at, it was something along the lines of, so we had, monumental day for us yesterday. We've got an even bigger one coming soon. Keep your eyes peeled. And it's like, it could just be PR talk. And it's like, oh yeah, we're being sponsored by Red Bull or something. It's like, great, cool. But as you say, like, they've never officially announced their 5th. So, but then would you claim, like, I don't think you'd claim that another player is a bigger signing than dev1ce, because,
I mean, unless you're saying, like, Simple's coming.
Yeah, unless it's Simple, like, who's bigger than dev1ce? Like,
unless it's Simple, ZywOo, or Nico, and I'm not even sure about Nico at this point.
No, Nico's not bigger than dev1ce, is it?
Unless you say Simple or ZywOo, neither of which would work in this team at all, you don't say it's a bigger
Yeah,
thing.
so it must just be like some PR bait, like, oh yeah,
I mean, it could be
we're being
something.
sponsored by
It
something
could be
cool.
something huge and legitimate and stuff. It could be actually big,
Yeah,
but it's probably not this. So the question still stands: is ZTR going to be a permanent fixture on this team? And I think I lead towards no.
are you ready for
I lead towards
the plot twist that fixes everything?
yeah. Let's go.
Forest back to NIP for ZTR.
See, that sounds outlandish,
Tell me you don't love
but
it
I
though.
like it. Oh no, I love it. I
Exactly.
absolutely love
Forest
it.
and device like bringing NIP back in Stockholm. Imagine if like Forest
And
comes back and they win the major in Stockholm. That'd be insane.
oh my god. Well, it would be an interesting pickup, and I don't know. I haven't watched enough NIP to know if Hampus is not doing as well.
Hampus is
And so
fine.
last time he was doing pretty well, but getting Lekro as well from that Dignitas team, because Lekro has been on NIP before, right? He obviously enjoys playing with Forest because when he got out of North, he went to go and play with Forest, right? The two of them coming back would be a really interesting thing to have come back, because Forrest obviously is not out of his he's obviously out of his prime, but he's not a bad player. Right? Like the guy's still hitting stupid shots. He's still playing really well. And Lekro, we've never seen this side of him that is just absolutely dominant. And bringing the two of them back could be kind of cool.
I'd be surprised if they brought them both back. I don't think you want to bring back. I don't think you want to kick Plopsky or Rez for one of
Well,
those
it
two.
wouldn't be a kick on either of them. It would be Forrest pulls in for ZTR, and then you take Hampus out for Lekro.
Hampus is the IG. I guess you could have Lecker in game leading, but that
Because
seems.
Lekro would be the IGL again.
Not sure I like that. I'm not sure I like Lecker as an IGL. Feels dangerous.
The other thing that this could be, which has just popped into my head, is that Get Right could be coming back as an
It's
analyst
not.
or
It's
something. Not
yeah.
not
Okay.
not as a player. Not as a player. Not as a
Mm,
player. I want to make that very clear. Not as a
I
player.
could see that, and they'd be like, "Yo, it's Get Right coming back to NIP. That's bigger. Maybe,
Yeah.
yeah, maybe it's that." I would be so hype if it's Forest coming back as the fifth player. That would be so cool. I've like talked myself into this now, and I'm convinced it's happening, and I'll be really angry when it doesn't.
All right. Let's talk about device. So I said there were 4 sides. This is side number 3, which is device's side. After he left Astralis, he decided to basically refer to them as a tier 3 team.
Okay, let's dial that back a bit. So he's claimed these sort of quotes were taken out of context, but I mean, there's video footage of him saying it on the NIP vlog, and I'm not sure why they would try and make him look bad. But he basically said that NIP were like 5 steps ahead of Astralis when it came to like practice and stuff like that, which is strange. And then he also said that what was the other quote he said?
12 seconds later.
He said that they were that was it. He was talking about how they were a little bit fortunate with their read of the meta and timings and stuff, and that's the reason they were so dominant. Which is astounding. You're on like one of the greatest teams of all time. You're like, yeah, just got a bit lucky.
Just lucky.
Come on.
Yeah.
Like I get you trying to be a little bit humble, but come on. Like, you can't be on that team and just go, yeah, wow. Yeah, I got a bit lucky with the timings. You guys are much better. It's nonsense.
That's not the part that like strikes me though. It's that first quote about NIP being ahead of Astralis in practicing and the way that their team is, like all that stuff. That strikes me as odd because Astralis always seemed to be the one who was leading in that kind of stuff, just in general and around the world, making sure that like I believe they were the first team to like make sure that players had good physical health as well as their mental health and that kind of stuff. And have that and having that sports psychologist and that kind of stuff just on hand for all the players. That was the reason why they started going from that like always at the major but never winning the major team to starting to win the major back in Atlanta. It was because of the sports psychologist and the out of the game work that Astralis put in.
Yeah, I think it's probably a shot at the organization rather than at the team. I think, as we alluded to earlier, I think there is some sort of issues behind the scenes with the way Astralis work and the way they interact with their team. And I think this is just dev1ce going, yeah, NIP, the way they treat their players is so much better than the way Astralis treat their players. Which, again, it's a symbiotic relationship. dev1ce has been with this team for God knows how long, 6 years, whatever it is. So, as much as they've needed dev1ce, dev1ce to some extent has needed Astralis. They're the team that, they got the players he needed around him. They brought in, as you say, the sports psychologist, the physical health stuff, all of that. And I think I'd be a little bit miffed if I was Astralis that he was, sort of openly taking shots at us when, we're part of the, they're part of the reason that he's won as much as he has. Obviously, a lot of the credit has to go to him for, being the guy in the server.
Yeah,
but he needed Astralis nearly as much as they needed him.
Yeah, I don't know. I think we'll see in the next 6 or so months how much of what he said was truly taken out of context and how much of it was really true. Because I feel as we see the Astralis players like filter out of the Astralis system, right? As we see dupreeh leave and as we see dev1ce leave, probably less on the dev1ce, but as we see dupreeh leave, I feel like he'll speak out upon some of the stuff if it really did happen the way that dev1ce is saying, that we'll see him speak out about some of it, and we'll see dev1ce maybe speak out about some of it. And as people filter out, I feel like we'll hear more and more of it as they're not part of the team.
I'd imagine dupreeh is probably the least likely to speak out, purely because he's one of the ones that hasn't had a break, that hasn't seemed to have many issues at all, other than when they signed Kierby and took him off his roles for a bit. It seems like dupreeh is actually quite a guy who doesn't want to stir the pot too much, whereas I think somebody like dev1ce or Xyp9x would probably say something.
I don't know. To me, dev1ce fits the like company man role to like a T, and I can't explain why, but he kind of does to me.
I feel like dev1ce is so strong-minded that he would just say what he thinks, and he's also like so good as well that it just doesn't matter. Like, if dev1ce leaves Astralis this winter, every single team in the world would want him.
There's no
because he's probably the best in-game leader of all time.
I think we've made this case before, and I'm willing to stand by this case.
Yeah, I mean, it's him or like Fallen or something, and Fallen like fell out of MIBR when they were rubbish and got a job on Liquid, which is like a step
might
up.
Be IGLing again.
Yeah, he's like stepped up.
Like it might be
he's like fallen upwards because of how good he was as an in-game leader in the past. If dev1ce left this December, regardless of what happens for the next 6 months, nearly anyone would try and sign him.
Yep. And he would step up. He would go to the Na'Vi of the world, or the Vitality of the world, or whoever is the best team at that time. Even if you're Gambit and you're like really happy with everything that's currently happening, you're the number one ranked team in the world, Gambit's gonna try and sign dev1ce.
I think I could see somebody like G2 breaking the bank for him.
Yeah, I mean, I actually don't see Gambit signing dev1ce. But the point is, like, even if you're the number one team in the world and Astralis is like number 15, you're still gonna go and try and sign dev1ce. It's not like a questionable thing to do. It's not like saying, I'm not sure if he's worth money. He's worth the money. There's no question.
Especially if his contract runs out and you don't have to pay a buyout.
And then you don't have to.
Because that's the other, the last side of this story is the buyout for dev1ce was $1 million for a guy whose contract ends at the end of this year. People... I sort of tweeted about this, and people were going, "Yeah, but it's dev1ce. Like, you're paying $1 million. You're paying $1 million to get dev1ce 8 months earlier than you otherwise would. It's not as simple as you get one of the best players in the world, so you pay whatever. You could get him for free in 8 months' time.
Yeah. So basically, you have to. Your next 8 months are the most important part of this contract.
That's how I see it. I see it as, if you're going to pay for him now, you're saying we're going to win the major in Stockholm. That's how I see it.
Or we're going to get damn close.
Yeah,
I'd say that any top 4 there would be.
I think it has to be the final.
Definitely. I would say definitely finals. I say top 4 because it's the major, and every time we're at the major, we have some Cinderella team that gets into the top 4 that just manages to happen to get there, that ends up losing in the quarterfinal, and that has to have a spot taken from them. So that's 3 teams who actually put in work and do really well at the major and have good players and have good systems and stuff that legitimately get there based on skill and not just a whole ton of luck. And so they'd have to be one of those 3 teams.
And on current form, I can't see that being an IP. I mean, maybe dev1ce is even better than I think. It's possible.
Maybe dev1ce is better. Like it, and they've got what, 6 months till the major? Like the major's in November, so they've got, I don't know. There's
so
7 months until the major. They've got a bunch of months till the major. They can turn it around. They can say, we're just going to boot camp every single day and get our stuff together, and we're going to become the best team in the world, right? With dev1ce, and figure out how to integrate all of these Strala systems that worked so well into the NIP systems that seem to work really well,
some of the
40% of the time, right? Like, and figure out how to integrate all of that stuff in. And that would be really cool. And I'd be really happy to see NIP come back, because NIP winning in Stockholm is sick.
It would be cool, especially if they get Forest back.
Hey guys, quick note from the editor's desk. First of all, I want to thank everybody for everything that you guys have done for Overtime on Inferno. We absolutely are so grateful for the community that watches and listens every week. We'd like to continue to grow this community and to continue to produce this awesome content for you guys. So down in the description below, there is a link for referral. If you use that referral, if you refer 3 friends, you'll be able to get some in-game, some real-life CSGO stickers that you'll be able to put in your laptop or water bottles or whatever that gets sent to you. And we get helped because we get some awesome new followers that help us grow as a podcast. So if you want to keep seeing awesome content from us, please refer some people to us. It really helps us out. All right, back to the execute. All right, let's take a turn now. Let's go to the execute. We're going to talk about, the rest of the stuff that we talked about at the very beginning. The stuff that happened this week that wasn't dev1ce getting signed to NIP, which is just by far the biggest news of the week. So I'm not sure if you watched any of this yesterday, but Extra Salt and Big had a grand final for the FunSpark Ulti thing.
Yeah, there's a strange tournament. It completely went under the radar until it started, and then everyone was interested because there was a bunch of good teams there.
Yeah. So Extra Salt went through and beat Big in like the opening round, right? And they went through the upper bracket and they got to the finals. So they had a 1-map lead in the finals. Big lost to Extra Salt and then did not drop a single map, getting through the lower bracket to the finals. So we're looking at a 4-map final. Every single map went to full regulation except for Train, which went 1 round short.
It was a long best of 5, even with a map advantage.
Taken out, yeah. There were no overtimes, but every map also went all the way to regulation. It was 119 rounds?
Not quite.
Not quite. 30 times 4 is 120.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
Minus 1
yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Is 119. Yeah. So 119 rounds. And Extra Salt lost by 1. 1 round.
Yeah, it makes all the difference. It's a game of fine margins.
Yeah.
Big are really good at this though. Like I don't know what Tabson says, but the guy must just be so unbelievably stoic. It's the second time since the online era they've won a best of 5 final from 2-0 down. They did it against G2 at Dreamhack Masters Spring, I think it was. Yes, it was. And they went 2-0 down with this G2 started with a 2-0 map advantage. Oh, we started with a 1-0 map advantage, won the first map, and then Big came back and won 3-2. And then they just done it again to Extra Salt and crushed the entirety of North America streams at the same time.
Yeah. All right, I want to talk about a specific play in this, and then let's talk about Extra Salt, and then let's talk about Big. So I want to talk about, I believe it was the 26th round on Overpass. It was a full eco save.
Oh my god, this made me so upset.
It was a full eco save from Extra Salt, except for Fang buying a deagle. Fang died early in the round, so it's 4 USPs. JT goes through connector, goes up connector, sits all the way in the corner by the edge of the ladder, and Tizian didn't buy armor into the round. He didn't buy a helmet. So JT manages to grab Tizian with the first USPS headshot, grabs, I think it was Tabson, with 2 more really quickly, and then the round just spiraled out of there. And there's like 2 things that I want to say. Is one, absolutely buy Kevlar. He had $5,000.
Just buy head armor, man.
That's what
on
I
the
meant.
T
He has
side, just buy
5,000.
head armor, man. It's not.
He had. Well, it wasn't even a money thing. He had $5,000 in his money. Right? He had plenty of money. But I want to actually look into a big part of this round, which was that Searson recognized the fact that, holy shit, this could actually happen. We don't know what the rest of them are on money-wise. And he juggled all of the weapons out and got them into T-spawn. And Sonic and OC both went through there, and neither of them grabbed either of the weapons because they didn't know where they were.
I think OC got an AK, didn't he?
OC got an AK from shooting somebody in the back.
Oh,
I think he shot
right.
Searson in the back.
Either way, and then the 2v2 they won because Sonic walks into a Molotov deliberately so they know he's short, and then OC can walk out monster without being seen, which was a really nice detail in the 2 versus 2, really quick thinking. But like, Jesus Christ, big. And it's like such an important... it obviously didn't turn out to be that important because Big ended up winning somehow, despite losing this at like 13-10.
Yeah, I had to break their...
Oh my god.
like,
that's what I mean. Like, how calm
How do you
must
come back
Hapson
from
must
that?
be as like the leader of this team? How unbelievably good must his like mental well-being be that he can see that and just go, all right, yeah, let's just win. All right, shit happens. Next round. Like, that's so difficult. I mean, Na'Vi are the prime example of a team who just permanently tilt. Whenever something like that happens, you can just see it in them and they just stop playing properly. Whereas Big got better. It was absurd. They were just like, oh, they got guns now. We can win. Oh my god!
And the weird thing was, it was just post eco win for Big as well.
There were so many eco wins in this series.
There were so many eco wins. It was ridiculous close. If you want to watch a good match, that like if you're in for the long haul, go watch that best of 5.
As long as you're not American, because it will break your heart.
As long as you're not American, because it's gonna break your damn heart. I was live chatting in a Discord, and just every moment was like, fuck, good hold.
Yeah, I really like Extra Salt because I've somehow sort of become a spokesperson for NACS in a sense, because I'm just like, nobody else seems to, like, everyone seems to have forgotten about it, and it's still like there are still decent teams there. And it's like, I wanted Extra Salt to win, but then I saw like Brian and Ryan getting like happy on Twitter, and I was like, I don't want them to win that much. So I'm glad to see my European brothers. I sided with the Germans in this one. It made me feel a little bit, I lost a little bit of my English pride doing it, but I sided with the Germans, and I'm happy.
All right, let's talk about Big and Extra Salt really quickly. Big looked like they might exist as a team again, which is weird because they haven't for a while. But also, I don't put a huge amount of stake into this because it was against Extra Salt. But I also put a lot of stake for Extra Salt into this because they almost beat Big and went through the entire tournament, absolutely killing it.
Big are they're such an enigma. I just have, like you said, they lost in the first round to Extra Salt and then just looked, just smashed everyone, but somehow unconvincing. Like, they beat everyone unconvincingly. It doesn't make any sense. They don't make any sense as a team. I do not understand how this team is good. And if they're good, I think they're good. They've just won a tournament. They've won tournaments in the last year. But every time I think they're good, they're just not good. And then when you think they're bad, they don't even look good at this tournament. They win it anyway. It's so bizarre.
Yeah.
They just have incredible mental fortitude and like enough talent to get by that they can be a top team if the things click into place. It just seems they have to go behind for the things to click into place.
They're weird, man.
They're a weird ass team. There's a German in that Discord, Tractor, who is just like, he spent the whole tournament just going, I don't think Big are any good. Like, they've looked terrible in every game, but they keep winning. And like, yep, that's Big for you.
Yep. All right, let's talk about Extra Salt. NA's dreams, I think, are kind of saved by Extra Salt, even though they didn't win.
Yeah.
Right? They went to Europe. They've actually beaten teams in Europe, which is a step up from like currently Liquid, but they've beaten teams in Europe, right?
And EG.
They're playing in NEG. They're playing in what is it? DreamHack Open Summer.
It's Masters this week.
Spring DreamHack Masters Summer this week, right? Which we'll talk about. They look like a team to actually maybe beat in that. They're ranked like number 15 in the world and deservedly right now.
XSL are good. I've always liked JT as an in-game leader. I think his teams are always really interesting to watch. Nobody flashes as well as JT's teams do. I don't know why that is. Cloud9 were incredible at flashing. Extra Salt, really, really good at flashing. JT is a really good in-game leader, and they found in Fang, they found a player who I think they were lacking before. Somebody who is just a fearless mechanical monster. He will just run in head first. I mean, if you look at the amount of opening jewels he takes, it's incredible.
Yeah.
Every game he's getting like 15 opening jewels. It's absolutely obscene. He is absolutely fearless. And I think that's such a useful piece for an in-game leader like JT to have. It's just somebody who will follow. If you tell him to run in, he will run in and just trust that Marky, that Sonic, and the OC can clean up and win the round. And you're seeing they're getting the dividends from it. And I think a lot of that is down to the addition of Fang, who's been an absolute revelation. I think he was the MVP of the tournament, if I remember rightly.
He was. Even though they lost, he was still the MVP.
Yeah.
Which was insane. All right, let's look ahead to DreamHack. So in the opening round, we get to see the two teams we talked about today. We get to see Astralis with Bubsky, I guess, and Extra Salt play each other in a best of one, which I'm excited for.
How spicy is this game, man? Like, whoever wins, it's like somebody's winning. There's a storyline no matter what happens here. If Astralis win, it's like, oh, NA can't even beat Astralis when they're all over the shop. And if Extra Salt win, it's like Astralis are dead, NACS is alive. Like, the Extra Salt are really legit. They're going to win everything, and Astralis are terrible. Like, what are they going to do without Dev1ce? Like this, it's going to be so much fun no matter what happens, because you have to overreact to this result either way. It's going to be great.
I don't know if you saw what Liquid's account tweeted at Extra Salt at the beginning of the tournament, but they beat Big, and Liquid just tweeted Extra Salt, hey, can you beat some other European teams for us? And so,
well, now's the chance. If they beat Astralis, that really, like, you have to say they're better than Liquid then. Because Liquid could really never beat Astralis.
No. All right, and then we get to see Vitality's debut with Kyojin instead of RPK, which that's exciting. They're playing against Complexity. All of these games are happening on Thursday. There's like 40 games happening on Thursday. It's ridiculous.
I love watching like Vitality versus Complexity. Like, there's just an obscene amount of talent. Like, Complexity are great fun because every single one of their players is a superstar. Like, even Rush, who's probably like the weakest member of that team, is like a major winning entry fragger who's like, mechanically he's the only so good. He's the only major winner on that team too. Yeah. So you can't even say he's a bad player on it because somehow he won a major. I mean, I had this discussion before. I think it was in our Discord that I think Complexity might be the most mechanically gifted team in the world. It's them, or for me, right. Team Spirit.
Which we get to see Team Spirit, Heroic, and Gambit as well.
Yeah.
Which always good fun.
Isn't there 3 CIS teams in the same group as well?
Yeah, Navi's in the group with Gambit.
And Navi versus Gambit and Spirit. Oh, this is so much fun. This tournament's going to be crazy, dude.
I don't remember what group Heroic is in, but I want to see Heroic Gambit again, if at all possible, by however the math works out with this tournament, right? I feel like A, that would be really cool. And I feel like B, it was such a close best of 5 that I want to see how this works out in the best of 3.
Yeah, it's going to be great fun. Spirit versus Gambit versus Navi for title of the best CIS team, with Heroic, who might be the best team in the world again, which is a really weird sentence to say, but they're almost certainly the best team in Denmark now. And it's like, this is Heroic and Gambit in the same. They're almost inarguably the 2 best teams in the world at the moment, and they're in the same group. Yeah. It's going to be great fun.
All right, let's move on to Overtime, which is our listener mail section. We asked you on Twitter what you wanted to ask us. And many people asked us questions.
Yeah, so we got one. Oh, hang on. Let me just read it out. So Harry, our social media guy, asked me, I guess, pick one. Aizy never plays on LAN again, or dev1ce carries NIP to Stockholm major win. It's got to be the second one. I'm more willing to accept that dev1ce is good than Aizy isn't. So that one.
Someone asked us how we spell bowl.
Yeah, I don't really get that one. I think it's probably a joke, so I'm not going to say it out loud in case I just, look a bit silly. Mao asked what my thoughts on Mantuu's ancestry reveal is. So if you didn't see this, Mantuu, Maciej did a ancestry reveal, and it turns out he's mostly of Polish ancestry. It was like 93% Polish. But as I said to him, that doesn't mean he's not 100% English. So Brexit means Brexit. He's English. Anyone who, I mean, if he has a UK flag on his HLTV, that's enough for me. If he's willing to almost ruin his career by having a UK flag next to his name on HLTV, that's enough for me. Somebody asked if there's anyone I think is going to have both of us, any team we think is going to have a drastic improvement when LAN comes back, which I think is a really interesting question.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if any team will, because I feel like at this point, any team that was like, we're gonna stick around for LAN, we're gonna be a good LAN team, I feel like it's made roster changes.
Yep. It's been so long without a LAN that maybe all that experience just doesn't matter now.
Yeah, because everyone's been playing online now, and you have a tournament every other week, right? We've gotten so used to this, and everyone's gotten so used to online. I think actually teams will have not improvement's the wrong word. It's gonna be like a falling off in how teams happen when they're online, because this is a totally different environment, right? Even if you're just in a studio with no fans there, right? There's still going to be teams that are just like, oh god, I'm actually in person, I can see the other team, or the other team's like one room over. I think that's going to actually be a negative for a lot of teams.
And to that point, I think if there is a team that's going to get better, it's going to be somebody like FaZe, because beating FaZe online is, as you say, but if you're on LAN and you look over and you, oh shit, that's coldzera. You're like, fucking hell, is that Carrigan? Oh my god, it's Twist. Like, that is scary. Like, you look at that team and on paper it's scary. You see him in person, like, oh Jesus Christ, we're playing against coldzera. Yeah. It's on LAN, you got, what's the coldzera meme? The drinking Diet Coke with no pressure, or whatever it is. It's much easier. I think they're the most obvious bet for a team that's going to get better. I think maybe Liquid is the other one I'd probably throw in there.
I think Liquid's really weird to get better or not, just because they're not playing in as many tournaments as everyone else, so it could go either way for me.
But at the same rate, if they'll be spending more time playing scrims against Europe and playing against European opposition, which will probably help them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. With Mir climbing to the top, does Robs have contention for the best lurker in the world right now, as well as a top 5 lurker?
Robs has had that claim for ages. He's almost certainly the best lurker in the world. Mir is definitely up there. Mir's timing on his lurks is just, he's always behind. He's either fighting somebody in the first 20 seconds of the round, or he's behind you. I love watching him play because his timing is just incredible. Like, he's really good at it. And then there's, top 5 lurkers in the world is really difficult because it kind of depends how you define it. Like, to some extent, somebody like Shiro is almost a lurker the way he plays.
I was going to actually say Nafany. Nafany or Inters. One of them lurks a lot on their T side.
Nafany's a bit art-like. He just kind of runs around headless chicken.
Inters lurks a lot on their T sides, and it works out really, really well.
Yeah, he's a good lurker, but I don't know if he's actually that good at his role. I think the only reason Gambit are that good is because Shiro and Axar just tear through people.
Yeah,
I think it's difficult. I would say Boomich used to be very good at timing his lurks. I think recently he's not been great at it. So it's quite difficult because of the way, I say, a lot of teams are now, rather than having a dedicated rifle lurker, have their AWPer playing really passive and watching out for lurks. I mean, you look at Fury with Junior, Charles with dev1ce, the aforementioned Shiro. That seems to be more the way things are going. So I would say Rops and Mir are the two sort of standout if you ever wanted to learn how to like lurk on the peripheries of the map. Just watch those two. Rops is just the problem with watching Rops is he makes the game look so easy because his crosshair placement is flawless. So you watch him play and you're like, well, I could do that. You know, that guy's just peeked straight into him.
Well, you can. You just switch your resolution to 16 by 9.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know, man. I always thought the best way to learn how to do something is watch somebody on a slightly... So, for example, I used to want to learn how to play B on Mirage, and I always thought the best person to watch was Sticko, because he wasn't a superstar, but he was very good at playing B on Mirage. Like, you sort of learn how you can play it when you're not Cold Zero, when you're not simple. How do I play it? If Sticko's talented, but if you're not, he's not going to be
relative to like the absolute gods of Counter.
Yeah, he doesn't want to be taking angels against good teams 24/7 because that's just not a good idea. Sticko is a player who is able to manipulate the position to get himself favorable duels or to stay alive when other players might fight and die. So maybe if you want to learn how to do it, you would watch somebody who's maybe not as good at it, in a sense. It sounds odd, but
who understands the mechanics, but maybe doesn't have like who's the first pro that's going to return from Valorant?
I think it'll be Yampy, right?
Yeah, same.
I don't know if you've watched Yampy play Valorant, but he doesn't look like he cares.
Yampy is playing Jet in a meta in Europe in which nobody plays Jet, which is interesting to say the least.
And he just shotguns all the time, right?
I mean, that's Jet players constantly.
Well, I guess. I don't know. I don't watch much Valorant. I've watched like 2 or 3 games.
I have to cast Valorant every week, so I've ended up watching a lot of like decently higher tier Valorant.
I spoke to somebody who casts Valorant, and he basically said to me, like Yampy's obviously talented and he could be really good, but it does seem like he wants to go back to CS.
So and I wouldn't be surprised either. I mean, he got unvac banned. Like that was his big issue. Like he needs to get unvac banned to play any sort of higher level CS than the shithole that ENCE was at that moment. So like he's got that now. He might be it's definitely possible for him to come back. We got thoughts on dev1ce-ive?
He's a good player, but the visa, I think he's a player who's been more negatively affected by the pandemic than others because of the visa situation, the way it's affected his ability to get a visa and to move to Europe. And actually, he wanted to play for Cloud9, but they couldn't consistently get him on good ping. He's a really good player, but I'm not sure now who's going to take a gamble on him. I think it is now a gamble, unfortunately.
I think when we get back to LAN, I think that he's definitely one of those players that will be affected positively by LAN. Like we talked about like teams being affected negatively by LAN. He's going to actually be a player that's affected a huge amount by LAN because he'll be able to get there to be in person. You won't have the ping issues and you'll be able to show everyone again, oh yeah, hi, I'm dev1ce-ive. I'm a very good AWP player. Mm-hmm. Right? Like he'll have that again.
I'd like to see him do like a Smooyar and just go and smurf on some tier 3 teams. Just be like, yeah, I'm going to go play for Movistar Riders, absolutely obliterate these just no names and just like, guys, I'm still good sort of thing. Somebody asked which team has the best logos from Duncan. We were talking about this. I quite like the Renegades logo. I think that's pretty cool. I like the new Virtus Pro logo. A lot of people obviously hated it at the time, but I think it's pretty cool. And I also quite like the Godsent one, purely because it's like Illuminati, and that's just, I don't know, it's pretty unique. Nobody else has anything like that.
ENCE logo for me.
Yeah, the ENCE logo is pretty cool.
Enceladus. And the old Evil Geniuses logo, not the one that they just had, the disc that was like tilted and said like EG on it and was like the full circle. That was a great logo, although that doesn't exist anymore at all.
I never cared for that one much. I don't really see the.
I cared from that one from my old Call of Duty days when I was watching the EG team.
Yeah, it's a more nostalgia thing.
It's a special place that one's a special place in my heart kind of thing.
Somebody asked if I'm interested in stocks or Bitcoin investments. I'm interested in my investments going up. So I have some crypto. I invested right before the massive dip in the last 2 weeks. Like quite literally,
That's why it went
it's
down.
been going like this for about 6 years. I invest and it just falls off like immediately. It's absolutely incredible. Like, and it's like in fantasy football where you bring a guy in and then they immediately like stop scoring, get injured, and get transferred and give away a penalty. So that's my favorite song. I'll let you go first with favorite song.
Favorite song right now is probably Curtains Closed by As It Is.
I don't know.
I know you're going to give some stupid answer, though.
What made you?
I just assume you're going to give a stupid answer.
I think it's quite... Probably my favorite song of all time is probably Prague by Blind Avon. I also... Post Blue by Placebo. At the moment, I've really been enjoying Cleopatra. They're like a garage rock band. I really enjoy a couple of their songs, and it's a band called Chaos in the Tea House. I've been like, they only have 2 songs, and they haven't been making music for very long, but both of their songs absolutely slap. The guy's voice is really bizarre, but it's like you listen to it a few times, and you're just like, that's it. It's just stuck in your head forever. I really like them. I'm like desperate for them to release some more music. So that'd be my answer.
Yeah. Big Cat Judgment Day by With Confidence has been just constantly rotating, which is the weirdest name for a song I've ever heard.
So I don't know With Confidence or As It Is, but I have an idea of what they sound like by their name. Like in my head, they're just Breaking Benjamin.
Nah, a little bit more poppy than that.
Okay,
kind of.
So yeah, I saw it as either it's either going to be some like emo type music. It's just what it sounds like to me.
Yeah,
like, yeah. It's like a slightly better version of My Chemical Romance.
Not as emo, a little bit more is a little bit more poppy, but yeah, definitely in that general area.
I love doing
that. All right,
being able to try and guess the genre of music by the name of the band. It's good fun.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Follow us on Twitter at Logan Ramhap, at Aizyesque, and at RootTLDR. We'll be back again next week with, I guess, the results from Dreamhack, because that starts and finishes this weekend.
Hell yeah.
All right. See you, everyone.
Peace.